she's working here in Amare. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that name right, but let's welcome Ms. Deborah Neary. Welcome, Deborah.
Thank you, Sophia. It's really a pleasure to be here tonight.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about the topic that you choose tonight, which is gut health. And I'm being utilizing or sending these messages to my clients all the time, but hearing from expertise like you will help all of our audiences. So let's get started. Okay, so before we go to our topic, why don't you introduce yourself? What do you do? What's your business? And how do people can reach you?
Okay, thank you, Sophia. Well, I am actually an artist. That's what my business was for years and years. And the name of the company right now that these products I represent is Amare, which means love. And I think it's Italian. I think it's Italian, Amare, for love, or to love.
I love the name.
It's a beautiful name. It was one of the things that attracted to me. Actually, the first thing was, oh, I love love, so so why not?
Yeah.
So really, my background is art, and I've always been very interested, though, in how the brain works, and how we have a certain amount of control on how we behave in the world and how we function, and especially our mental wellness. So even before I even knew the term mental wellness or knew anything about the gut brain, which we'll be talking about a little bit, I've always been interested in how the brain works, and how we have everything from our childhood stored away in these little cabinets and these little files in our brains, and that you can bring those things up at any given moment. Things that you thought, things that you hadn't even remembered or realized had happened can suddenly be triggered.
Yeah.
And that's always fascinated me, and I've always been interested in the brain and the science of the brain. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, so the way that I learn about it is more sort of intuitive and more kind of like an artist would.
Mm-hmm.
So what part of the story would you like to hear? Do you want to hear the reason why I found?
Yeah, what is your eye-opening moment? When did you had a sparking moment in your life?
Well, actually, it was really my daughter who you just met. She came to me, it was about a year ago, and she said, "Mom, I have to talk to you about something that's really important to me." And I could tell by the way she approached me that it was something that was difficult for her to bring up. And she wanted to talk to me about me and the way I was behaving.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really bothering her that I was stuck. I was like stuck in a rut.
Right.
And feeling anxiety all the time, and acting depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to cover it up, really, and sort of exaggerating certain other things. And she is so intuitive and so heartfelt and so close to me that it started to get to a point where it was hard for her to be around me. And she wanted to tell me, because she didn't want to lose that relationship that we had, because we're almost like sisters, like our relationship is so close. And she was feeling herself moving away from me because of my anxiety and my depression that I wasn't addressing.
Now, what do you think that your anxiety and this depression triggers? Like, is that being employee, your work, what is?
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, because I don't think I even shared that story with you, but it was partly that. It was knowing, getting a lot of these little jobs that were okay, but they felt so, I don't want to say demeaning,
empty.
because that wasn't it.
Mm-hmm.
Was that?
Emptiness.
Yes, yes, there was that. Feeling like I wanted to do something that was more meaningful in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to affect and help more people, like in really deep, meaningful ways.
Absolutely.
And the jobs that I had weren't satisfying that in any degree. So part of the depression was that, and also knowing about things like residual income, you know, something that I'd learned about years ago and really loved the idea. And knowing, having that in the back of my head and just feeling like, you know what, I need to find something that gives me that kind of satisfaction that I can also help people with. Without really knowing what that was. So I was kind of stuck and not really knowing where to go from there, and then just sort of getting these little jobs that were making me actually feel worse. So it's kind of like a vicious cycle.
Absolutely. And depression and anxiety is the position, you know, where you get stuck because you don't see the positivity around you, you know. So that's why your mind is always like limiting yourself.
Oh my gosh, it's actually almost worse when you know and you can see yourself and you know what you're doing, and yet you still can't seem to bring yourself out of that.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, you asked me what was that light bulb that went off, or that moment, and I knew I had to do something about it, but didn't know what. And I was getting ready to go maybe talk to, you know, experiment with maybe an antidepressant just to see if it worked, to see if maybe I have, you know, some sort of clinical depression. But deep down inside, I knew that wasn't going to work for me, because I've always been really into natural healing and not allopathy, really. You know.
So what do you do? What did you do?
Well, right at the same time when my daughter came to me, luckily, right at the same time, out of nowhere, I heard about Amare, and I heard that they had a way with their products to help with your mental wellness. And so, and it had to do with the gut, and the gut brain and how that works. Because I sort of heard of it before, because everyone's sort of heard about it, but I had to look into it. So I decided, as it happened around the same time when my daughter talked to me, I said, well, you know, what have I got to lose? You know, because I've tried so many other things that were natural, and a lot of talking, which kind of made it worse after a while.
Now, what
I
was
decided
your background?
What
was your background in any studies or anything related with mental health or anything like that?
No, just that I tended to attract people who would come to me and they'd almost like introduce themselves and say, oh, I have anxiety, or can you help me feel better about this?
Right.
And also a lot of people feel really comfortable with me, and we get right down to those layers, those onion layers, you know, those things, like get right down there and see what's the root of the problem? What's the root of the problem? And the root of the problem, now I've learned, can be your gut. The root, the motherboard of all, you know, all the things that happen in your gut affects your mind. But of course I didn't know that then. So I sort of took a leap of faith. I said, you know, I'm going to try this protocol, and let's just see, you know. To be quite honest, one of the reasons I was attracted to it was because it was a network marketing company. And I love network marketing. I'm kind of unusual. I actually love it. But I hadn't had a lot of success with some of the other companies. So that was part of the reason I said, well, I'm going to try this. You know, and if it works, then I'll be really happy, and then maybe this will be the thing that will bring me joy, you know, in those other areas. So I had all kinds of reasons. What surprised me though was how fast that mental state went away, how fast the anxiety left.
Because you're talking to people, you're sharing your views, you're sharing everything in the community. That is, you know, magnetic, you know, because network marketing is something that I learned. You know, I wasn't in my business background either. So whenever I got this, you know, in the marketing field, I was like blown away. You know, it's just magnetic, so attractive community that you know, they want you to be successful. It's not like my employee mindset, right? Who doesn't want you to be successful.
Don't take my position. You know, it's almost the opposite. You can't actually be successful unless you help the people who want to work with you. But
Absolutely.
that's just the way it works. And I think that's such a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And I think this is the first time you share this to me also, saying, you know, employee mindset and, you know, entrepreneur mindset. And I resembled with your story so much. And I'm so glad that you shared this to me. Thank you so much. So when you are in depression or anxiety, did you reach out to any coaches, any friends, or any did you find that out? Mm-hmm.
I had a few life coaches. I spent hours talking through, and it would feel good to talk. It felt like, well, at least I'm, you know, getting it off my chest, and I'm somebody who understands and has a different perspective.
Right.
But it was almost like an elastic band that you stretch and stretch, and then when I come home, it would just be right back to, you know, feeling like, you know what, it was great to talk, but I still have these feelings, and they were literally like in my body. The feelings were inside here. They were in my throat.
Right.
I felt like I couldn't talk. I would have actual anxiety attacks where I could hardly breathe, and then I would call a friend who's a coach also, and she would talk me down. I mean, it just got to a point where I couldn't control it anymore. You know, like I used to be able to just kind of ride it or think of something or do something. It got to a point where nothing was touching it at all.
Right.
So
first mentor you found was your daughter. That's beautiful.
Well, she's pretty amazing. Well, I said to her when she took me aside and talked to me, we were both crying, and I thanked her. I said, "This is such a brave. Thank you. This is painful to hear, you know. I mean, because it was really like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm actually hurting my daughter with, you know, me being so sick without even realizing, you know, thinking, oh no, I'm not that bad."
Negativity, really, of course, it affects everyone around you. Absolutely.
Yes.
Especially
so I thanked her for her, you know, for being so brave, because you know what, I would have liked to have done that with my own mom.
Right.
But I wouldn't have known how at that age. I didn't have the kind of wisdom that my daughter has.
How old is she, by the way?
She's 23.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's young.
So awesome. that was the turning point for me.
And what advice would you give to those individuals who really want to get out of the depression, and they want to thrive, you know, not only survive during, employee mindset, you know, being employee, and I'm tired of being tired. I'm tired of being blocked. You know, I'm tired of cutting my wings by my boss.
Yeah. Wow, you described all those things, that I felt. Well, here's the thing. The first thing is to have an open mind, to be open.
Right.
To be open to having a conversation with somebody is the first step. And a conversation that's about possibilities, about how you can change, even if it's small things.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, you know, like pivot and change, like have this complete huge thing. It could just be a really small thing. Open your mind, and start to research, start to look for something that, you know, look at the things like the gut brain, you know, and products like what you have, that are nutrition based, because a lot of what's going on with us is that we're lacking in those nutrition, in the nutrition that is the things that create the dopamine, you know, like that's created in the gut, by the way. And so is serotonin and the GABA and things that are created in the gut that actually go to the brain-gut axis.
Isn't that amazing? How
it is so amazing.
Awesome.
I'm fascinated with that, and the science has been around for a while, but now, you know, because of the technology and because of the research, companies are able to produce products now that we can take that affect the way we feel mentally and physically.
Right.
So we're not getting the right nutrition. Everybody knows that in our food mostly. So
so
we need something.
We're not getting right nutrition, and we are taking a lot of pills, you know, so it doesn't match.
Right.
So this is amazing, you know. That's why natural natural product, natural supplements, natural food, and fitness is the key, meditation, So how do
Yep.
you, what is your self-care resume daily? Like, how do you maintain that energy level?
I always meditate first thing in the morning. Our whole family does. My son doesn't really yet, but he's 20, so he will eventually. But my daughter actually teaches meditation. So every
Oh, wow.
morning, 7 a.m., we actually meditate. And it's actually called heartfulness. So we actually meditate on light in the heart.
Yeah.
That's great. First
That's
thing.
awesome.
In the evenings, we do cleaning meditation. So that is sort of like, it's kind of like brushing your teeth, but you're cleaning you're just letting everything go from the day. So that really helps to lighten and, stops you from
Kind of
thinking things
feeling
over and over.
gratitude.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Like
gratitude every day for everything, for just being here, for
Mm-hmm.
just being on this planet, for being human on this planet.
Yeah. Yes.
It's just amazing to me. I just feel like every day is a miracle.
Right.
I really
Absolutely.
feel like another day. Wow, I'm on
Right.
this planet.
Absolutely. Especially during quarantine like this, anything can happen, and you want to feel presence. You want to feel your family's emotions. You want to feel your emotions. So that's beautiful. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And what topic you are talking about your gut health, I'm sure. So are you ready for that? Take it away, Ms. Deborah.
So most of us grew up learning about physical health, right? In our schools, in the school system. I don't remember any of my gym teachers or anybody in any of my classes ever talking about mental health. So, that's more important in a way. If you don't have your mental health, then you can't actually have your physical health either. Sometimes, it's very hard to feel like going out, walking, exercising when you don't feel happy or you just don't feel well. So next slide. Okay, so there we go. So I just said that. I didn't realize it came in two parts. So mental health is so important, and yet we haven't really been taught that as children and even as adults. It seems to be a new thing, a new topic. So next slide. I really like this next slide. I saw Dr. Sean Talbot in Boston a couple of months ago. He's actually the creator of these amazing products that Amare has, gut brain. He's been doing gut brain access science and creating products for companies for about 30 years. And when I saw him talk, he had this slide up, and I just really loved what he said. What he was basically explaining here is that every one of us is on this mental wellness continuum. Every single human being is on some kind of continuum here. And if you look at it, if you're right down at the very bottom, like at a 1, say, let's hope nobody on this call is at a 1, but there were times when I really felt like I was at a 1, before taking these products. So I had that. I had depression, anxiety. I had arthritis. I thought I might have fibromyalgia, so I had pain and stuff like that. And so most of us are sort of in the middle, 5, 6, 7, something like that. Like when people ask you how you're doing and you say, fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. That's what a lot of people say, because they don't really want to say, I feel great. Or I don't feel, I'm struggling. They'll just say I'm fine. But still, when you're fine, you can still have a lot of issues and still feel so sad, or have some other issues that could be mental but could also be physical. And then so Dr. Sean Talbot would work with people who are athletes and Olympic, like gold medalists, and they wanted to be, if they were a 10, they'd want to be 11 basically. So what happens is, as you start to feel better, as you start to heal your gut, as you start to heal your body and do some of these action steps we've been talking about, you move your way up this continuum. So it's sort of a continuous movement. You can go from feeling fantastic to feeling absolutely awesome. You can go from struggling to feeling fine, and then you can go to feeling great. And then you can be like totally like optimized if you want to do that. So does that make sense to you, Sophia?
Absolutely. I love this slide.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it too. It really made sense to me. He talked a
Yeah.
long time about that, and it was so fascinating.
Yeah.
So mental wellness, what is mental wellness? Mental wellness is not mental illness necessarily, right? People will know about mental illness. And there's just been a lot of talk recently, and a lot of very famous people, actors, singers, coming out and saying, look, you know what? I have something here. I've got something going on, and I want the world to know. And I'm trying to do something about it.
Pretty much word, it's prevention. Illness is cure, but wellness is prevention. That's what we're doing, nutrition prevention, right?
Yes, exactly. Which is why really that, you know, children should be taught about it in schools, but maybe they will. Now, this is a fairly new subject right now in the world, it seems like. And everyone's coming out and saying, yeah, you know what, I don't always feel great, you know, or I've got something, and I just want there to be an awareness about it. I guess that's the word I'm looking for, is an awareness that having a mental illness does not mean that, you know, we should ignore you. You know, like if you have something that's hurting, if you have some sort of disease, if you have a broken arm, it's acceptable. It's like, oh yeah, go get it fixed. But if you have a mental illness, it's almost like, hard. Oh no, right? So mental wellness has to do with focus. How well can you focus? Can you focus? Some people can't focus at all. I couldn't focus when I was feeling down in the dumps. I couldn't focus on anything. Except for I just didn't want to be there.
I want to add, sorry about the interruption.
Go ahead. Yep.
I want to add a little bit. People don't want to admit that, you know, we need mental wellness, because everybody, just like you mentioned in earlier slide, you know, everybody say I'm fine, and they don't know what they are lacking until they find out, oh, okay, this is serious, and we need to you know, we need to consider this. We need to think about this. So I think, you know, people are just opening their mind. That's why I think this is very new to us.
Thank you. Yes, that's a great addition. Feel free to pop in anytime, because I'm just shooting from the hip here. I prefer to do that. That's just the way I am, you know. So now I'm just telling you what I'm thinking of right now.
Sure.
So pressure management, you know, all these things, mental performance, confidence. I lacked confidence when I felt down in the dumps. I just, like, I didn't have the confidence in myself that I could pull through. And therefore, you know, it felt like nothing was going to work for me. Stress resilience is a huge one, you know, really huge, especially right now. There's so much stress in the world, and stress resilience, if we can get that to work, that makes a huge difference in everything that we do in life, in our relationships, driving a car down the street. You know, if something goes wrong, if you have an argument with someone, it doesn't matter what it is. If your stress resilience is high, then you can handle most things in a different way than you maybe would if you didn't have a handle on your stress. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, I do.
And of course, physical performance, financial wellness. So that's something that I was talking about network marketing and just, you know, basically that industry on the whole.
I
it
like
really
the
helps
way
people.
You put financial wellness also in here. You know, it's a part of it.
Well, for me, it was a huge thing, you know, because that was part of my feeling so disappointed that I had a lot of dreams, I had a lot of ideas of what I like to do. I wanted to be able to have enough money to give away to causes and all kinds of things like that. And it was depressing that I didn't. And I was getting older, and I felt like I was running out of time, and I just, you know, was just like annoyed with myself.
Right.
So financial wellness.
It's becoming the basic need, you know. So especially during crisis right now, everybody's out of job, you know, and it's stressful when you don't have money, because everybody need money to eat, pay rent, pay mortgage, you know. But even though we are not working, you know, most of the people are not working. So I think I like that financial wellness including in your mental wellness thing. So.
And you can see opportunities when you're feeling kind of happier and more centered and less stressed out, your brain works differently so that you can
Right.
see opportunities when they come to you, and you're more open-minded
Mm-hmm.
and more willing to really see yourself. Well, yeah, maybe that's something that, you know what, that's something that could work for me.
And you open your mind to help somebody also. You know,
Exactly.
otherwise
Yes,
you are
so,
just
yeah,
starving. Yeah, surviving mode.
right. Next slide, please. Let's see, what do we got here? Okay, so the microbiome, let's get down a little bit to a little bit of this. So, so the microbiome it's in your gut. It plays a really huge role in your mental wellness and in your physical wellness too. And it kind of explains the gut feelings. I think the next slide talks about that, so I'll wait with that. But when you're in balance, you feel great, and when you're not, you can feel all kinds of negative things, you know, like just general fatigue, actually, not necessarily depression or anxiety, but just feeling kind of blah and tired and stiff and inflamed. All that is a result of having a gut that's not working properly, doesn't have the right microbiome. And that can be thrown off, like you said, with drugs. It can be thrown off with antibiotics. Even if you've only taken it once as a child, it can throw off those microbes and wreak havoc in your body. And it just tends to get worse as you age. You know,
Can you explain a little bit what is microbiome?
Well, it's inside your. What's actually
It's
many. Yes, it's the bacteria. Thank you. And there's thousands, there's millions. I don't even know what the number is actually. I didn't write that down, but it's a huge, crazy number, more than stars and galaxies in our
healthy bacteria that
yes.
That will survive there in our gut when we put probiotics and fibers. You know, when we put fibers in our body with fruits and vegetables, it fermented, and it also almost act like a kimchi. You know, the kimchi.
Oh, I love kimchi. It's one of my favorites.
Because it's fermented.
Oh, I love it.
A combination of fibers and probiotics and prebiotics help this microbiome grow.
That's right. Yeah, and the prebiotics are really important because they feed the probiotics.
Probiotics, that's right.
And what's interesting about it, I wasn't actually going to talk about this, but as you're getting into the probiotics, there's so many different strains of probiotics. And each strain has a specific role to play. So there's one strain for mental acuity, there's one strain for depression, there's one strain for sleep, there's one. You could go through a list. There's hundreds of different strains.
Right.
So you know, just to go buy probiotics from the store, you know, kind of just not even knowing what it is you're buying may not necessarily be the right strain for what it is you're trying to address.
True.
Yeah. Let's go to the next slide, because this talks about the gut, brain, heart. Well, we were going to talk about the gut brain axis, but there's also a heart axis. And so what's amazing about our nervous system is not only does it work for your organs and for your body, but there's this whole other level, you know, that has to do more with your mental state and like your gut feelings and stuff. But we'll talk about that in a minute. So obviously the brain is your nervous system, right? So, and we all know how our head brain works. And most of us, and I thought this too, most of us think that our brain is really the only thing that's thinking and controlling and, you know, like just the thing, and all sort of happens up there.
Right.
Partly I think it's because our eyes, you know, like everything sort of the way we communicate is right there in our head. So is our brain. But then the heart, the cardiovascular system, also has an axis that talks to the brain. The immune system is your axis in between all of those things. And your gastrointestinal system obviously is your gut. So that picture is showing, is basically showing. Right. Yeah. Okay. And people used to say, oh, your gut. No, that's okay. You can go to the next one. Yeah. So science is really showing that there's so much more to what's going on in our motherboard, in our gut, than we ever could have imagined. It really is running the show, like more so than the brain. You know, like I said, like 90% of serotonin is created in your gut.
Good.
People think, oh, you need that in your brain, but it's created in your gut first. So here's the three brains. The axis is a communication, right? That communicates with all these different brains, like a superhighway that goes in between each one of them. I'm talking layman's terms here because I'm obviously I'm not a science.
I love that. I love that term.
It's like a highway, you know, like it's going fast. Well, you want it to go fast, but you know, if you have leaky gut or if you've got problems, you know, and you're not getting the right nutrition, it doesn't work properly. It slows right down, and then that's when you start to have these symptoms mentally, right? So your thinking brain is logical, it's analytical, it's rational, it's theoretical, if I can say it. And so we're all kind of familiar with that, right? But what's cool about the gut brain is it's your sensing brain. So people know what that is. They talk about it all the time. They talk about, oh my God, I had a gut feeling about that and I went with it. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I forgot I had that gut feeling and I wish I'd gone with my gut, right? Or you know, it's an instinctual thing. It's like there's a gut feeling and then there's a gut instinct, which is a whole other thing. Your gut instinct knows before your brain does. You know, your gut knows before your brain figures it out, which I just love that. That's magical to me.
Yeah.
And we've all experienced that. We've experienced being sick to our stomach when we hear something, right, that really disturbs us. It starts in your stomach. And it's a real thing. And when children are feeling anxious, they talk about having bellyache. Oh, my stomach hurts all the time. Little kids, that's how they describe it. So, of course, the heart is your feeling brain. It's emotional, it's artistic, and it's passionate. And, of course, it's, you know, it has all these visions of what can be. It's a dreamer. It's the dreamer. It's the creative. So I love the heart, and I love that we meditate on the heart, you know, on light in the heart, not just the heart itself. So all these things are communicating together.
Absolutely.
In unison. Yeah, in a highway.
In highways.
So yeah, let's see what we got next.
Okay.
Yeah, so the next slide.
That's
that's it?
Yep.
Yeah, that's it, I think.
All right. Awesome.
I think I did have another one, but it just I think it was talking, well, I think it was just more of a picture of the microbiome. Yeah, but we already talked about that. But was there anything else that you think I might have missed?
I think you covered everything. You know, I love the way you put this all slide together, mind, axis, and gut, because this remind me my biochemistry background and this cellular nutrition, and I love about this. But if you think you are missing some, you want to add some of those, you know, microbiomes and those pictures that you shared with me earlier, I can just attach that later after this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that your audience has probably gotten a pretty good picture of what this is about. I mean, this is very basic. You know, it's very scientific.
Right.
And I tried to do my best to just tell it like the way I first heard it, you know. And I like it this way because I can get sort of drowned in all the technology of it. And the basic thing is, you know, that if your microbiome is happy, then your brain is happy. You know, that's it in a nutshell. And people actually don't care. They don't care about what's going on in their gut really, unless they have some sort of problem with food, you know, like that. What they care about is how they feel. So
that's it. Yeah.
You know, they're like, I don't need to know all that. I just want to know, it's just going to help me feel better. And when it does, they're like, okay, great. You know,
I think it's part of it is we think our body act like a, you know, pressing button, like all of a sudden we take medication, you know, if we have anxiety, we wait till last minute to visit the doctors, and you know, prevention part is so lacking. So I think, you know, these little bit and piece information will definitely help both of our audiences, I think, because, you know, this is so important, even though it's new, but it's really not new. We just need to be aware that, you know, what goes in our body, that we become. You know, so I
Yes.
think it's just time is so high time to think about what actually our body react, how it react with what kind of food that we put it in our belly. So I think it's a great idea that you put all this slide together, and you know, and explain it so simply. You know, all we need to know is
Yeah.
take
Food is medicine, not like medicine.
medicine.
Food is medicine,
That is
and it's the
correct.
truth.
That is
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, excellent. Thank you so much. This was fun. Thank you for
Thank
the
you.
opportunity.
Thank you for joining. And I really appreciate your time and all this effort to get it all together like this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Goodbye.